Your worship.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Before I call the meeting to order, I have one little item to discuss or to put out there. If you all recall, back in June, we participated in the Participation Canada Challenge. And when that began, I received a bit of a challenge from Mayor Sean Michaud, Mayor of Sackville, New Brunswick, across the border. Well, I'm very proud to say that Amherst, you all know, we won for Nova Scotia and the financial prize that went along with that. And I'm also pleased to be able to report that Sackville won for New Brunswick. So that was great. Well, our wager was whichever of the two communities did better, the other mayor would wear the shirt of the opposite community at their next council meeting. And I'm not sure how the scoring was done or who did it, but I was informed that Sackville actually did better even than Amherst did. So today I am wearing a Sackville shirt. So I'm coming through true paying on the wager, but I'm very proud of all the people of Amherst who participated. And with that being said, I'll call the meeting to order. And as per our usual, I will make the territorial acknowledgement. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq peoples. So we'll move on to approving the agenda. If there's nothing that anyone feels should be deleted, then I would seek a motion to approve. I see Councillor Baker's hand up.
I move the agenda as presented, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. And seconding Councillor Fothrop.
Yes, second.
Thank you. Then no objections. Then the agenda is approved. Approval of minutes. On June 28th, 2021, we had a regular council meeting. The minutes have been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions detected? I see a hand, Councillor Fothrop. You're muted. Okay, your hand is down.
That was an old one to approve the agenda.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Thank you, Councillor Fothrop. So if there are no errors or omissions, someone to approve the minutes, please. Councillor Emery.
I move to approve the minutes.
And seconding, Councillor Davidson, or Deputy Mayor Davidson, excuse me.
Yes, I'd second that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. We had a special council meeting on August the 4th, 2021. Any errors or omissions detected in those minutes? If not, then would someone approve those, make a motion to approve those minutes, please? Councillor Christie?
Yes.
Thank you. And Councillor Landry seconding?
Yes, Your Worship. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any objections? Seeing none, minutes are approved. And finally, the special council meeting of August the 24th, 2021. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Fothrop?
I move approval.
And Deputy Mayor Davidson?
Yes, I'd second that.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any objections? Seeing none, those minutes are approved. We will move on to our request for decision. And the first is Amherst Youth Town Council appointment. Councillor Fothrop, if you would, present this.
Yes, Your Worship. In accordance with the Youth Town Council policy, there is an ability to accept up to 12 members. Up to 2 of the members may be county residents. This year, there are 11 students serving on the Amherst Youth Council. After appointment of the members in June, staff received an additional application from a youth, Kiana Brennan, expressing interest in being a member of the AYTC. Staff interviewed Ms. Brennan and feel she's a good addition to the committee. So the motion, Your Worship, I move that council appoint Kiana Brennan to the Amherst Youth Town Council for a 2-year term.
Thank you. To second that motion, I see a hand, Councillor Landry.
Yes, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. So are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Councillor Fothrop, your hand's still up, or is that an old one? Thank you. So as our usual, when we are in a virtual meeting, I will only seek nay votes by a show of hand. So are there any nay votes? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, Accessibility Advisory Committee appointments. Call upon Deputy Mayor Davidson for this, please.
Okay, I'm just setting this. Okay, appointments to the Town of Amherst Accessibility Advisory Committee. In accordance with the Town of Amherst Accessibility Advisory Committee policy, there is an ability to appoint 6 Town of Amherst residents to the committee. This is a newly developed policy, therefore all appointed members will be serving in their inaugural year. The initial appointments will be for 1-year terms as a transitional measure, and subsequent appointments will have 3 members for a 1-year term and 4 members for a 2-year term to ensure knowledge is retained on the committee. The committee plays a pivotal role in helping the Town of Amherst become a barrier-free community, ensuring obligations under an act respecting accessibility in Nova Scotia 2017 are met, and to assist in the creating of a community of well-being. Following the call of expressions of interest, we received 3 applications. The terms of reference state there must be at least 50% of the committee as citizen appointments, with 2 council appointees and 3 citizens. We are able to begin the work and continue to recruit additional committee members. Your worship, I move the council appoint George Godfrey, Joanne Hopper, and Tammy Allen as citizen appointees to the Town of Amherst Accessibility Advisory Committee for a 1-year term, and that further that council appoint Councillor Fothrop and Councillor Landry as the 2 council appointments to this committee.
Thank you very much. Seconding, I see Councillor Emery's hand.
Yes, I second the motion.
All right, thank you. Any questions or further discussion on the motion? Then I will put this to a vote. Again, only nay votes, please. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Committee appointments. Councillor Landry, if you would.
Synopsis is thank you, Your Worship. The synopsis for the Amherst Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Committee. In accordance with the Town of Amherst Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity policy, there is an ability to appoint up to 5 Town of Amherst residents to the committee. The Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Committee provides council with an inclusive perspective on issues pertaining to the diverse population of Amherst. Involving residents of diverse backgrounds ensures full and equitable participation for all residents of Amherst. Following the call for expressions of interest, we received 4 applications. So the following motion will be put forward: that council appoint Tammy Drew, Holly Martin, Tammy Giro, and Jolene Gauchi as citizen appointees to the Town of Amherst Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Committee, and further that Deputy Mayor Davidson and Councillor Emery be appointed as council representatives.
Thank you. And seconding, I see Councillor Christie's hand.
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions or any discussion on the motion? If not, then I will put it to a vote. And again, only nay votes, please. So are there any nay votes? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Your worship, just before we continue, I have to declare a conflict for the next item.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Emery.
And how do I need to proceed with that? I need to ask him.
Okay, Kim, can you fill Councillor Emery in?
Councillor Emery, it's council, so you just won't vote. You've declared your conflict and you don't have to leave the meeting.
Okay.
We're not in camera, so, okay?
All right, excellent. So,
Your worship.
Councillor Fothrop, yes?
Yes, I'm also in conflict with 2 of the grants.
Yes, fair enough. So obviously the same rules apply to you. You don't have to leave, but you don't vote. Thank you. All right. Community support grants. Councillor Christie, if you would present this.
Thank you, Your Worship. The town accepts community support grant requests throughout the year. In general, pursuant to policy 72000-08, in order to qualify for a grant, the request must be related to sports and recreation, events, festivals, organizational equipment, or community well-being. The town has received 3 community support applications. One is from West Highlands Home and School. They're requesting $10,000 for playground equipment for grades 2 to 6. There's currently no equipment on the West Highlands field for those students in those grades. Amherst Artisan Gallery is requesting $3,000 for When Elvis Met Jerry Lee, Johnny and Carl Musical Event Festival. The musical events will take place at the Amherst Artisan Gallery, Arts and Entertainment Center at the Amherst Center Mall. This event runs from September the 30th, October 1st, 2nd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. Trail of Treats is requesting $750 to purchase treats for those businesses participating in the second annual Trail of Treats event. The event is running from October 31st, 2 to 4 p.m. This is in collaboration with Maggie's Place, the Cumberland Library, and the YMCA, as well as many volunteers. The motion before us is that council award the following community support requests in the amounts of West Highlands Home and School, $4,000, Amherst Artisan Gallery, $3,000, Trails of Treats, $750.
Thank you. And this, to second this, Deputy Mayor Davidson, your hands up.
Yes, your worship, I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? All right, if not, then I will put this to a vote. Again, only seeking nay votes, please. Seeing none, we have 5 nay votes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Scholarship and bursary policy amendment. If you would, Councillor Baker, would you address this motion?
Your worship, members of council, scholars and bursary policy. Our current scholarship and bursary policy identifies special scholarship and bursary that the town ministry. In the fall of 2020, the W.A. Reed Memorial School Trust Fund was transferred to Schenectady Central Regional Center for Education Administration. As such, section on 6 of the policy relating to the W.A. Reed Memorial Scholarship Trust Fund should be removed from the town policy. This will keep the policy update reflecting current trust funds administered by the town. Your worship, members council, the motion will be that the council approve the scholarship and bursary policy as amended. So move, your worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baker. Councillor Landry, are you seconding?
Yes, your worship.
Thank you very much. Any questions or discussion on this motion? If not, then we'll put this to the vote. Are there any nay votes? None. Thank you very much. Unanimous approval. User fee policy amendment. Councillor Emery, if you would.
Your worship, members of council, staff noticed an error in the HST treatment for the sewer and storm sewer connections. The user fee policy indicated that these charges should be plus HST, when in fact they should be HST exempt. Staff have been treating the fees as HST exempt, but it was noticed recently that the wording in the policy was incorrect. This motion will update the policy to reflect the correct HST treatment for sewer and storm sewer connections. The motion is that council approve the correction to the user fee policy for fiscal 2021-22 in regards to the HST application for sewer and storm sewer connections to be HST exempt.
Thank you very much. Seconding, I see Councillor Christie's hand.
Yes, your worship.
Thank you very much. Any questions or discussion of this motion? If not, I will ask for nay votes, please. Seeing none, this motion carries unanimously. The Fresh Start Initiative, part of community support grants, and I'll ask Councillor Christie, please.
Thank you. The first round of a Fresh Start initiative initially received minimum applications. The initiative was posted on social media. There was a media release and it was advertised on the local radio station. Town staff emailed organizers, organizations, groups twice and followed up with phone calls. A total of 12 applicants were received. The current round of Fresh Start initiatives yielded 0 applications. It was advertised through email, social media, town website, and radio ads. Since the program was initiated, a number of applications has continued to decline, and staff have spent countless hours encouraging and following up with groups to attempt to get enough applications. So it's disappointing because of that the motion before us is the cancel the fall round of a Fresh Start initiative and further direct staff to review the community support grants policy to bring back recommendations and changes to the October committee of the whole meeting.
All right, thank you. Seconding the motion, someone please? Councillor Landry,
Yes, your worship. Thanks.
thank you. Any questions or further discussion? I think it should be pointed out that the monies available for this are still available, just not going to be offered at this occasion, and it's not going to cut money out of the funding. So are there any nay votes on the motion? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, solid waste memorandum of understanding. I'll ask Councillor Baker to present this, please.
Your worship, members of council, memorandum of understanding. With the pending sale of the CJSMA, the municipal units still have the delivery, the education and enforcement functions with respect to solid waste. The amendment MOU provides clarity of the role each party has in the continuing education and enforcement for the daily operation of solid waste. The MOU would result in the town hiring a current CJSMA education officer, Brenda Rue. Ms. Rue would then provide solid waste education, coordinate, and commissioning services for all three municipalities, Amherst, Cumberland, and Oxford. A Diversion Nova Scotia provides funding for most of the service covered in the MOU, including education, enforcement, and coordination, etc. While the amount of funding varies from year to year, it is generally enough to cover all costs of the services. Any shortfall or surplus will be shared among the three units according to the existing CJSMA funding formula. Your worship, members council, the motion will be that council approve the member understanding between the town of Amherst, municipal of Cumberland County, and the town of Oxford regarding solid waste education, enforcement, and coordinate, and authorize the mayor and CAO to sign on their behalf. So move, your worship.
Thank you very much. Seconding, I see Councillor Fothrop, your hands up.
Yes, your worship.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or further discussion on the motion? If not, I will seek nay votes only, please. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Exit 3, sanitary sewer extension request. Deputy Mayor Davidson, if you would.
Thank you, your worship. In 2020, the town received a request to provide access to the existing sanitary sewer main at the intersection of James and West Victoria Streets. The current sanitary sewer service to county residents policy does not allow the provision of such service, and the request was denied. Since that time, the municipality of Cumberland County has approached the town and has offered to enter into an MOU where any increase in tax revenue realized as a result of an increase in assessment from access to the sanitary sewer line in the area would be shared with the town. As a result, an MOU was negotiated. Highlights are as follows. 1, existing and new residential development will be provided access to the town sewer main in the area between the town boundary and exit 3. 2, commercial uses will not be approved. 3, no extensions of the main will be permitted without the approval of town council. 4, all applicable policies and bylaws of the town of Amherst and with regard to sanitary sewer service will, let me try that over. 4, all applicable policies and bylaws of the town of Amherst with regard to sanitary sewer service provision will have to be adhered to. 5, the MCC will share in any increase in assessment and subsequent tax revenue from the properties accessed the sewer service, with the MCC receiving 65% and the town of Amherst receiving 35%. The sewer main in the area, servicing the gas station and the two other houses in the area, can accommodate the additional sewage which may be generated by the development in the area. Further to council's approval of the MOU, the current town of Amherst sanitary sewer services to county residents policy is required to be amended to add these particular PIDs to the list of approved properties to receive sanitary sewer services in the county. Your worship, I would move that council approve the memorandum of understanding for sanitary sewer access at exit 3 between town of Amherst and the municipality of Cumberland County based on this approval. Further approve required amendments to the town of Amherst sanitary sewer service to county residents policy.
Thank you very much. That was a lot to read. A seconder, please. Councillor Landry. Councillor Landry, you're seconding?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, your worship,
All right.
I'll second.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor Landry. Are there any questions or further discussion on this motion? Councillor Baker, I see your hand up.
Yes, your worship. I have a concern with this because over the years, we've denied sewer going outside of our town limits because let's face it, if I'm paying $1.70 tax in town and $1.11 out in the county, guess where I'm going to build. But my big concern on this here is that 3 months ago or 2 months ago was brought to us, there was 3 empty lots out that they want sewer to. Then when I read the report this week, we talked about it the other night, there's 12 on there now. So my concern, I like to make a motion to table this for more discussion and find out what we're really getting into, because once you open the door to the sewer in that area, it's going to be everywhere. And I have a heavy concern on that when we're dealing with taxpayers' dollars at the town of Amherst. And I know it's great for the town, but like I brought up to you last week, I have no problem. We should stay with policy, but I have no problem supporting something like this, long as the tax rate is the same as the town's tax rate so that it benefits both of us. And if you had the same tax rate, the county would get almost the same tax they got at the present time. But this 65-35 on their improved assessment, I disagree. I'd like to make a motion to table this until further discussion and let council really know what they're getting into here.
Just on a question of process, Mr. McDonald, tabling a motion when it was approved at committee of the whole, is that proper process here at a council meeting before I rule that it's actually tabled?
Yeah, your worship, the Kim Jones, the clerk, can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that his motion would need a seconder and then a vote, just like a normal motion at this time.
Well, worship, to Jason, the other night in the committee of the whole, somebody made a motion table, and I said you had to have a second. You fellows all said, no, you don't have to have a seconder. Once it's tabled, it's tabled. And I disagreed last week. And I even called Mr. Ferris today, see if we have to have a seconder, and I thought we did. But you fellows said last week you didn't have to have a seconder on a table motion.
Well,
Kim,
that's where
can you clarify that, Kim?
I'm not sure of process then.
So the motion last week was to postpone to a definite time, to lay on the table. I have the rankings in front of me. Requires a seconder, is not debatable, and needs a majority vote to pass.
Okay.
So why didn't we ask for a seconder last Monday when you fellows said you didn't have to have a seconder on whatever we tabled last week?
I'd have to take blame for that, Councillor Baker. I thought tabled meant it's tabled and there was no debate or discussion. There is no debate, but it does need to be seconded and voted upon. I'm finding out. So I was in error. So
Okay,
your motion to table then needs a seconder. Is there somebody willing to second the motion of Councillor Baker? I see a hand from Councillor Fothrop.
Yes, your worship, I second that motion. I was under the impression that we had tabled it last week at the committee of the whole, and that we were going to be discussing it further. So I second today's motion.
I believe that what we tabled was a different issue, but that's fine. You second the motion. So there can be no debate, but we do need to vote. So as per our usual, I'm going to ask for nay votes on the motion. So Councillor Baker and Councillor Prothero, put your hands down. Now, any nay votes, please put your hands up. I see Deputy Mayor Davidson, Councillor Landry, and myself as nay. So the motion carries 4-3. That motion is tabled. Thank you very much. We will move on. Tactical Placemaking Funding Agreement. Councillor Landry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The synopsis is for the Tactical Placemaking Funding Agreement. The Provincial Tactical Placemaking Program was created by the Nova Scotia Business and Economic Labor Coalition to support economic recovery from the COVID-19 shutdown. Through a $50,000 grant, the program supports community-led projects that are quick wins to help create places for people to gather and connect, support economic recovery, and invite increased visitations to downtowns. The town is partnering with the Amherst Chamber of Commerce, who will implement a movable park project at the town green space on the corner of East Victoria and Havelock Streets. The movable park will include seating, umbrellas, string lighting, and other features intended to attract and engage users of the space. So the following motion, Your Worship, members of council, is that council authorize the CAO to sign the contribution agreement and memorandum of understanding to facilitate the tactical placemaking program.
Thank you very much. Seconding, first hand I see is Deputy Mayor Davidson.
So I'd like to second that motion, Your Worship.
Very good. All right. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Councillor Christie, your hand's up.
Sorry.
Councillor Baker, your hand's up.
Yeah, I guess that's $50,000 grant. Is that coming from the province or?
Yes.
Yes, through the province. Is that the feds in the province or all province?
I believe it's from the province and it's money just flowing through for us to utilize. So it's not costing the taxpayers a penny.
No, it's coming from them. It's got to go through the town in order to use it. Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Correct. Okay. So I will put this to a vote. Are there any nay votes? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Thank you, unanimously. Next item is year-end capital financing adjustments. Councillor Emery, if you would.
Your Worship, members of council, both the water and general operating budgets had a surplus for the March 31st, 2021 year end. In keeping with the town's philosophy of paying for capital projects in cash whenever possible, staff is recommending some changes in the source of funding for a number of capital projects. The following changes will result in approximately $137,000 in interest savings over a 15-year period. The motion is that council approve of the following changes to the funding for the water and general capital budget. Number one, approval of the increase of water operating capital from revenue from $40,000 to $114,497.16. Number two, approval of the increase of general operating capital from revenue from $575,000 to $606,018.17. Number three, withdraw from the operating reserve of $591,000 to fund the new pumper fire truck. And number four, withdraw from the operating reserve stabilization reserve of $271,371.93 to fund the stadium solar project. So moved.
Thank you. And a seconder, I see Councillor Landry's hand.
Yes, Your Worship, happy to second.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or further discussion on the motion? If not, then I will ask for nay votes, please. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. That takes us to year-end operating reserve transfer to general reserve solid waste deficit. Councillor Baker, if you would.
Your worship, members of council, the year-end operating reserve transfer to general operating solid waste deficit. At the end of each fiscal year, if there are surplus funds in the solid waste grouping, they are transferred to a special reserve within the operating reserve called Reserve Solid Waste Green Bin Replacement Reserve. Likewise, if there is a deficit in the fund, a request is made to council to withdraw from the solid waste reserve to fund the deficit. The tipping fee for solid waste were over budget by $15,407. There were some other savings in the solid waste operations that resulted in the overall deficit totaling $14,378.17 in the solid waste department. Your worship, members of council, the motion that will be that council approve a transfer from the operating reserve to solid waste in the amount of $14,378.17 to the general operating fund to fund the deficit in the solid waste department for the year 2020-21 fiscal year. That's my motion, your worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baker. Seconding, I see Councillor Christie's hand up.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or further discussion on the motion? If not, then I will look for nay votes, please. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Continuing on, debenture pre-approval. Deputy Mayor Davidson, please.
Thank you very much, your worship. Municipalities requiring debenture funds from the Municipal Finance Corporation in the fall of 2021 are required to make a written commitment by October 1, 2021. The total cost for the Albion Street reconstruction project was $433,948.71, with $43,948.71 being funded from water capital, from revenue, and the remaining $390,000 funded from the long-term debt. This resolution will authorize staff to obtain the long-term borrowing for the Albion Street water main project in the amount of $390,000. The pre-approval resolution sets the maximum interest rate at 5.5%, the amount of $390,000 and the term not to exceed 15 years. Your worship, I would move the council approve the resolution for pre-approval of debenture issuance in the amount of $390,000 for long-term financing of the Albion Street water main replacement.
Thank you very much. And seconding is Councillor Fothrop. Your hand is up.
Yes, your worship, I second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion on this motion? If not, then I will put this to a vote. So are there any nay votes? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Capital budget adjustment, Zamboni. Councillor Landry.
Thank you, your worship. The general rate had a surplus for the March 31st, 2021 year end, and per the Nova Scotia Financial Reporting and Accounting Manual, or FRAM, this surplus was transferred to the operating reserve. The only project in the 2021-22 general capital budget that is financed by long-term debt is the Zamboni in the amount of $200,000. By changing the funding for the Zamboni from long-term debt to funding from the operational reserve prior year surplus, it will save approximately $43,000 in debt interest costs over a 15-year debenture. So the motion on the floor, your worship, is that council approve a change to the 2021-22 general capital budget to fund the new Zamboni from a withdraw from the operating reserve in the amount of $200,000. So moved.
Thank you very much. And the first hand I see, Councillor Baker, are you seconding?
I'd like to second that motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Baker. Any questions or discussion on the motion?
Yes, your worship. I have some questions.
Councillor Baker?
We got a new Zamboni coming. I know a few years ago we had one and we sold the old one to Oxford. And I'm just wondering, the Zamboni that we have now at the present time, is there any money to recover by selling that to a smaller operation somewhere? Can Jason answer that, or yourself?
Well, I can't. I will put that to Mr. McDonald if he would like to answer you.
Your worship, it's definitely something that it's on our radar and we're going to look into it. We're going to wait until we don't know the exact delivery date of the new Zamboni. So once we get it, then we'll be in a better position to see if we can find a potential buyer for the old one.
Okay, because we got a fair dollar out of it when we sold the other one to Oxford. So it'd be a great opportunity for a smaller operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. Oh, you've got your hand down. Thank you. So are there any nay votes? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Takes us to the capital budget adjustment fire station parking lot. Councillor Emery, if you would please address this one.
Could you roll it up a little bit, Natalie? Thanks. Your worship, members of council, when the 2021-22 capital budget was approved, the funding for the asphalt overlay of the fire station parking lot was funded by Canada Community Building Fund, formerly known as the gas tax. Upon submission of a pre-construction report for the Canada Community Building Fund to the province, the town was notified that the parking lot project did not qualify to be funded with these funds. At the end of the first quarter of 2021-22, the town is showing a surplus of approximately $296,000, which is made up of savings in wages and benefits due to vacancies, as well as savings in other expense areas and increased deed transfer tax revenue. Therefore, it is recommended that the paving of the fire station parking lot be funded from the surplus funds in the general operating by increasing the capital from revenue funding source on the capital budget by $80,000. This would make the revised general operating capital from revenue funding now $454,000. The motion being that council approve of the following change to the funding in the general capital budget to increase general operating capital from revenue by $80,000 to fund the asphalt overlay of the fire station parking lot.
Thank you very much. Who would like to second that motion, please? Councillor Landry.
Yes, your worship, I'll second. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Councillor Baker, your hand is up.
You know, like they're going to get tired of me before the night's out. My only concern when I read this, I know I was one that pushed in to get the fire parking lot looked after, but we're going to spend $80,000 for an overlay. Then next year, we're going to rip it up to really do the driveway it should, because the driveway's in bad shape. It got a big dip down one side. And I thought we were doing the fire parking lot properly instead of getting an overlay. Or can Jason tell me, are we spending $80,000 this year, going to rip it up next year and redo it properly? Or are we not looking at to do the parking lot for 2 or 3 years?
Mr. McDonald, please, if you would address Councillor Baker's question.
Thank you, your worship. I also had a comment to make. Maybe I'll address the question first. No, I guess I forget what the exact question was, but basically we're going to do an overlay. And at some point in time, we are going to have to replace the culvert that runs under Albion Street, as well as the culvert that runs under a portion of the parking lot close to Beacon Street. So when we end up replacing that culvert, there's two options to do it. One is to do it from the inside, and that's when you hire a company to basically do a mold on the inside of the culvert. The other way is to actually excavate the culvert out. And when we did that, it would be very similar to a service cut that you have on a street. We wouldn't lose much of the parking lot at all. It's also not, I don't believe it's in the next couple of years of the capital budget. So really the issue here is we're going to pave the parking lot. It'll be good for another 10 to 15 years. And when and if we do replace that culvert, it would only be a very small portion of it. You're looking at maybe $2,000 or $4,000 worth of asphalt. So it's really prudent just to get the whole thing done now.
Perfect. Thank you. That explains it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Councillor Baker. And if I can
Thank
just
you. All right, thank
add one other thing, although
Please do.
we're increasing the capital from revenue from the general operating fund by $80,000. What this is going to do is it's going to save the equivalent amount of $80,000 in what was formerly called the gas tax fund. So we're not spending any more money. We're just taking it from a different source.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the clarification. All right, are there any other questions or further discussion on the motion? If not, I will seek nay votes, please. Nay votes. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. And our final request for decision, acceptance of audited financial statements. Councillor Christie, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've got a frog in my throat, so I'm coughing here and there, so just bear with me. At a meeting of the audit committee that was held on Monday, September the 22nd, 21, the town's chief financial officer, Michael Hunter, presented the town of Amherst consolidated financial statements and the town of Amherst water utility financial statements for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2021. The statements were audited by the firm of Jorgensen Bickerton. Mark Milner of Jorgensen Bickerton reviewed the audit findings letter at that meeting. The audit committee passed motions recommending that council approve the town of Amherst consolidated financial statements and the town of Amherst water utility financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2021, which have been audited by Jorgensen Bickerton. The motion before us is the council accept the recommendation of the audit committee approving the town of Amherst consolidated financial statements and the town of Amherst water utility financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2021, which have been audited by Jorgensen Bickerton.
Thank you very much. A seconder, please. Councillor Baker?
I second that motion, Your Worship.
Fine, thank you very much. Any questions or discussion on the motion? If not, then we will put this to a vote. Are there any nay votes? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. That takes us now to internal committee reports, which we have one for tonight's meeting, and that's the audit committee report. And I'll call upon Councillor Landry, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. As was just mentioned, the audit committee met on September 22nd, 2021. Items on the agenda included presentations of the following. The consolidated financial statements of the town of Amherst for the year ended March 31st, 2021. Financial statements of the town of Amherst water utility for the year ended March 31st, 2021. An audit's findings letter, representation letters for the consolidated statements and the water utility, review of the first quarter report, and review of the capital budget actuals to date. The financial statements were audited by the firm of Jorgensen and Bickerton Chartered Professional Accountants. And the audit committee passed motions recommending that council accept the consolidated financial statements of the town of Amherst and financial statements of the town of Amherst water utility for the year ended March 31st, 2021.
Thank you very much for your report. Any questions of Councillor Landry? No, then we'll move along now we have a few external committee reports. The ones we have tonight, we'll start with the Cumberland Public Libraries, and that's Councillor Fothrop, please.
Yes, Your Worship. The Summer Reading Club 2021 is over for another year, and despite some restrictions still being in place, we had pretty good participation. Since June, we offered a mix of virtual take and makes and in-person programs. Virtual programs include the weekly Fold It Friday and origami programs in which our SCR student Holly showed kids how to create various objects just using paper, story times, and the popular Tongue Twister Tuesday. In July, we gave out family fun bags, which include egg and spoon race instructions, real eggs not included, bubbles, jump rope, balls, and instructions for lots of activities for family to get outside and have fun. In person, scavenger hunts were back. Once upon a time started in person in June and in August, and the Amherst Library was able to offer a weekly program for kids aged 4 to 12. Overall, the Amherst Library, 357 kids participated in our SRC programs from June to August. Another 49 virtual programs were offered with over 1,000 views. Teens and adults enter over 800 ballots to win prizes in our teen and adult summer reading clubs. Community engagement intern. Charlotte Gallivan, a recent MIS graduate, has joined the Cumberland Public Libraries as our community engagement intern. Charlotte started on August 30th. She'll be working on our social media website and soon will be out representing the library at various community functions. Statistics. In the month of July, Cumberland Public Library signed out over 10,000 items, 3,100 items in Amherst alone. This includes books, movies, TV shows, magazines, and more. Also in July, Forefathers Library held 11 virtual programs with 354 views and distributed 192 take and make crafts. We had 14 in-person programs with 111 people in attendance. The Forefathers Library had 2,547 in-person visits. Now, your worship, is the report from the Cumberland Public Library.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions of Councillor Fawthorpe?
Actually, your
Councillor-
worship, I may add one more item. The library has been declared an essential service, so you do not have to be double vaccinated to go to the library.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions of Councillor Fawthorpe? Might I ask, if you're not speaking, to mute, please? We're getting people appearing on the screen when they really shouldn't be. Thank you for your cooperation. So the next external report comes from the Cumberland YMCA. Again, Councillor Fawthorpe, please.
Thank you, your worship. So our childcare report from the YMCA. Summer programs went very well with 30 participants each day in the program. Specialty camps had 12 to 15 participants each week, and these camps run for 8 weeks. We received grant money from a local foundation and were able to sponsor children that are typically not able to take part in the specialty camps. Our membership numbers, active members 592, of which 93 are subsidized. Fitness, Excel, Exercise for Cancer to Enhance Living Well study will begin in our association in the middle of September. This study provides an exercise program to Canadian cancer survivors in our area. Fall program planning has been done, inclusive of dance, ball, hockey, pickleball, etc., all to commence by the middle of September. Y Thrive fall workouts to be offered by mid-September as well. Aquatics, we had a total of 177 people attending our summer lessons. We had 60 in the first session, 58 in the second, and 59 in the third. Summer rec swims, 25 participants per swim on average, 3 swims per week, all summer. Aqua Go introduction to synchronized swimming program offered by Sport Nova Scotia, 6 sessions this summer, 20 participants. And you can see, your worship and council, that prior to COVID, we usually had around 100 participants in the community swims, and now we're only allowed 25. Fundraising, the Trier Trail Run will be taking place again this fall on October 30th, 2021 at 2 p.m. The event is listed for registration on race roster or at the Y front desk. The cost is $35 until the 1st of October, and then it will go up to $40. There's a slight increase in price this year as we noticed that costs increased a bit last year. Parts of the event will be pending public health guidelines, whether a staggered start to allow for social distancing is required at that specific time. All participants will be updated as required leading up to the event. The facility, exterior windows, doors, and expansion joints have all been stripped of old caulking and new put in. All expansion joints did not have any backer insulation behind it. They do now. An assistant facility manager has been hired who started September 13th. The skylights coming into the building will be removed and a new framework put in with 2 pieces of glass to replace the broken ones. Part of the roof over the pool will be repaired. And your worship, I have one more item to add. There's community development. I'll do that first. The data was analyzed from the service-based account of homelessness, and a short brochure and 1-pager that outlined the most pertinent information were created. A more in-depth report is anticipated by the end of this year. Amanda is currently working to set up a coordinated access system in Cumberland County. Coordinated access is a process through which individuals and families experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness are provided access to housing and support services based on a standardized set or procedures for client intake, assessment of need and matching and referral to housing. Working alongside Lisa Ryan from Bridgewater, we are in the process of implementing coordinated access within our community. We are currently working on creating a promotional flyer along with a survey to send out to community partners to gauge the participation level with other agencies. With confirmation from other agencies, we'll be hosting a presentation either in person or online in hopes of encouraging other agencies to actively participate in coordinated access. The youth outreach worker, Monica Gibbons, has been undertaking training from the Youth Gambling Awareness Program at the YMCA of Greater Toronto and has created an online social media presence to raise awareness of youth gambling and gaming. She is working with different community partners and for fall plans to connect with the school board regarding presenting to healthy living classes in the schools on the topics of gambling, gaming and gambling together, betting sense and financial literacy. She also plans to host workshops in person or online through Zoom or Google, go live or Facebook and Instagram with educational videos as well as post weekly advice to the social media accounts called Tuesdays 2 cents worth. Monica is working to schedule a date with Maggie's Place parenting classes to present the two topics of gambling and betting sense to parents. The trusteeship has reached out to multiple organizations across the county regarding the services it can offer. We are anticipating a rise in clients once the Amherst Department of Community Services office is made more aware of the program. The community kitchen will reopen to in-person service once the province enters stage 5 of its reopening plan. Takeout will be an option for those who aren't comfortable attending in person. Our summer student, Abby Smith, carried out several projects during her employment in the Community Development Department. She oversaw the purchase and set up of 32 tablets that were distributed to seniors across Cumberland County as part of a community health board funded project called Staying Connected Through Technology. Abby also conducted a review of the past 4 years worth of data from the homelessness prevention and outreach program that we are working on compiling into a report to outline the work that has been done and the areas and demographics most needed. Abby worked with Eat Local Cumberland and Spring Hill Oxford Amherst region, as well as local farmers and food drink producers to develop the idea of an event to be held on October the 8th to celebrate the work that has been done throughout the county during COVID as well as to highlight locally produced food. Attached is a brochure mentioned under community development. And your worship, I just have one other item to add. In terms of double vaccination, you have to be double vaccinated to go to the Y and use the facility, but you only have to show your double vaccination information once, and then that is registered on the computer under your name. So then when you go in and swipe your membership card, they will know that you've been double vaccinated.
Very good. Thank you for that. Very important now. Any questions of Councillor Fothrop? Councillor Baker?
Yeah, I guess one quick question, Your Worship. Back a few months ago, I asked Councillor Throthrop if you could arrange a tour for the council, because we got some new council members on here of the Y, because there's been a lot of changes. Be interesting for council to just go for a tour through. Just wonder how you made out.
Yes, to Councillor Baker, I have spoken to Trina, our CEO, and she would welcome council to do a tour. And I'd say that let's look at it being after October 4th, 5th. Hopefully we'll be in phase 5 and it'll be much easier to accommodate a group walking through while other people are working out. So I will talk to the CEO and we'll set something up once we move into phase 5. Thank you.
Good, thank you for that. All right, next is CJSMA, and that's Councillor Emery, please.
Okay, your worship, members of council, the towns of Amherst and Oxford, as well as the municipality of Cumberland, each held meetings on June 29th to approve the sale of the Cumberland Central Landfill to GFL Environmental, Inc. The sale transaction includes the landfill site and the septic treatment facility and is expected to close October 1st, 2021. The CJSMA staff kept busy during the summer months providing sorting signs to businesses and corner stores. Site audits were also completed. Household hazardous waste events were held at the Amherst Fire Hall on July 10th and September 18th.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you. Northern Region Solid Waste Committee, and that would be our representative, Councillor Baker. Did we lose Councillor Baker? You're muted, Councillor Baker.
Where I am. Okay,
There
can
we
you hear me
go.
now?
Welcome back.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me. The report from the Northern Region Solid Waste Resort Committee, September 2021. The Northern Region Solid Waste Resort Committee met on September the 24th, 2021 by Zoom. Items on the agenda included updates from the municipal of Colchester and the town of Oxford. The regional chairs, the regional coordinator committee also provided updates, and that did the Nova Scotia Manager Director Committee. Mr. Poulos with the Diversion Nova Scotia was in attendance to provide an update on funding opportunities for municipalities for best practices and effective improvements. So those are going to come forward to us. And also I'm trying to range, I'll go through Jason, but I'm trying to range presentation from Northern Region Solid Waste Committee, so the rest of the councils, the new councilors know what it really stands for. I'm hoping to have word back on that soon, but I'll go through Jason so he can set it up. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All right, I do believe, Councillor Fothrop, you now have something from the LA Animal Shelter? Sorry, you're muted, Councillor Fothrop. Did you now have something to report
Yes.
from the animal shelter? Please go
Sorry,
ahead. then.
I started under the mute. I'm okay now.
Okay, fair enough.
Uh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, the LA Animal Shelter report. In July, we had 33 cats, kittens, and 4 dogs adopted, and 37 cats, kittens, and 3 dogs in August. So that's tremendous. So that's 70 cats, kittens, and 7 dogs adopted this summer. The shelter is currently full to capacity of cats and kittens, with mainly kittens becoming available for adoption soon. We're able to have a ducted AC installed in the main building for the shelter. And this will be great help with summer days getting hotter all the time. It will also provide heating in the shoulder season and hopefully reduce our heating costs. We're able to host our annual yard sale in Curry Park, and it was a great success. The credit union hosted a barbecue on site as well. The decision was made at our recent board meeting to not hold the Witch's Tea this year due to COVID concerns. We've approached the town in the hopes of reallocating the A Fresh grant to another shelter event in the future. The Amherst Veterinary Hospital will be hosting the 2nd annual Phyllis Blummel Christmas Bazaar in November in support of the shelter. The shelter received a federal grant to subsidize a summer student. With this grant, we're able to employ a marketing student to update the whole shelter webpage and social media presence. So that ends the LA Animal Shelter report.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions on that report? All right, I see we have one more report to hear, and that is senior safety from Councillor Emery, please.
Just waiting to see it. Okay, thank you. Your worship, members of council, the Cumberland Senior Safety Society will be hosting the 2021 Seniors Celebration Day and Expo on Thursday, October 7th at the Dr. Carson and Marion Murray Community Center in Spring Hill. There will be 2 sessions, one from 10 o'clock until noon and the second one from 1 until 3. There will be information display tables set up and demonstrations on various topics of interest for seniors. There'll be little treat bags for the attendees as they leave. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, people do have to pre-register, wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, and provide proof of vaccinations. Please see the poster attached for further information. The Senior Safety Coordinator provides home visits to seniors that need help with forms and applications for assistance. From July to August, she attended 6 homes in Amherst and 11 homes in the county. I believe that's the end of the report, and the poster is attached for the Senior Safety Program Celebration Day and Expo. There's going to be lots of informative displays, so if anybody is interested, I believe the phone number of the poster and of the description for senior safety. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions of Councillor Emery? All right, if not, that brings us to the end of our agenda for this evening. So I would ask if somebody would care to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor Emery, and I see Councillor Landry. Are you seconding?
Yes, your worship.
Thank you very much. No objections? All right, then I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you all for your participation tonight, and have a good evening, all.
Good night, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night.
Evening, everyone.